This mini lesson is for people who need help writing an introductory paragraph for their Great Gatsby essay. So one technique I like to use is to start from the bottom. Started from the bottom. Okay, so one of the things that you're used to is the traditional introductory format. So it follows the following order: a hook, a background, a bridge, and a claim. However, I always see students staring at a blinking cursor for half hour, the whole period, and I ask them why, and they're like, I can't think of a hook. So to remedy that, we're actually going to start from the bottom, and then we're going to move our way to the top. So we're going to go claim, background, hook, and then back to bridge, and then it will all come together. So you'll still follow the traditional order, but we're just not going to write it in the traditional order. So let's start with your claim. Without a claim, your whole paper is weak, so you want to make sure you have a strong claim. The claim is like the backbone, the big daddy of the entire essay. Without it, your essay sucks. So let's talk about what you need. So first of all, it should be one concise sentence, and it should identify the devices and the techniques that Fitzgerald uses in the order in which you will present them. That part is key. So whatever order the devices presented, they should match the order of your body paragraphs. So you should also identify what the devices communicate. So if you look at your inquiry chart, a lot of you even have one already written, but here's just an example. Fitzgerald uses setting, character development, and diction to prove that the American dream does not exist. So right off the bat, I've got my author, I've got my three devices: setting, character development, diction, and then I also have the message that they prove, and that's the American dream does not exist. Boom, done. So let's move upwards to the background. The background is necessary because you've got to have some context. So you should include the author's name and the book title, so as well as the context. So if you look here, here's my example. F. Scott Fitzgerald reveals the corruption of pursuing the American dream in his novel, The Great Gatsby. Remember, because it's a longer work, a book, that means our titles are either italicized or underlined. They're interchangeable, but do not use both. That's redundant. I personally prefer italicized book titles because it's more academic and scholarly. However, that's just a personal preference. All right, now it's time for the hard part, hooks. So I'm going to actually show you 3 different techniques. You're going to commit to one and use it, but first I'm going to start with some don'ts. So do not ask a question. We are juniors in high school. We do not ask those cheesy question hooks. Half the time, they're not even engaging, and they have a simple yes or no answer, and if I answer no in my head, that means I really don't want to keep reading your essay. So let's kick it up a notch. Secondly, let's try to move away from those Webster Dictionary definition hooks. According to Webster's Dictionary, happiness is defined as... It's getting overused. Therefore, it's cliche, so I would highly suggest you stray away from it. I've seen it way too many times. Lastly, don't use first or second person. That should be a no-brainer, but some of us still get caught up in that, I, me, my, I think, I feel, or second person, which is a little bit harder to catch yourself, and that's just saying like you, your, etc. So let's move on to the techniques. The first technique is a description. I love description or image hooks because I'm a visual learner and it paints a picture in my head, so usually it gets me engaged. So here's an example. Americans are inundated with images of white picket fences, 4-car garages, infinity swimming pools, the latest Apple gadget, and the pretty blonde with long legs. Even further, they are told that all of these things can be theirs if they simply do one thing: work hard. So I like the list of those images because I can see them in my mind, especially an infinity swimming pool, because I'd like to be in one right now. Here's a second technique. An allusion, our friend. So referring to something widely known, this lets your reader connect and relate to your topic. So here's an example. Americans have been indoctrinated with the American dream almost as much as the Kardashians. So love them or hate them, the Kardashians are everywhere. So this kind of connects me to the American dream, that similarly, the American dream is embedded in our culture, just like the Kardashians. I don't know if that's good or bad. Actually, I do. It's bad, but I digress. Your third technique is a compare-contrast, and it allows your reader to see similarities and differences. So here's an example. On the surface, character Jay Gatsby, actor Robin Williams, and former NFL player Andre Waters all seem to have secured the American dream: money, careers, and love. However, all three prove that perhaps the American dream is nothing but a dream, or at least that it does not guarantee happiness. So I like this one because I would never even dream of placing Jay Gatsby, Robin Williams, and Andre Waters all in the same category. Like, I really could not think of a similarity. So I like this because it's different and it's sketchy. So now let's move on to the bridge. So this is an intro without a bridge, and I am using this to show you how bridges are absolutely necessary, because otherwise it's disconnected and your reader's confused. So right now I just have a hook, a background, and a claim. So let's see if you can kind of hear the disconnect. Americans are inundated with images of white picket fences, four-car garages, infinity swimming pools, the latest Apple gadget, and the pretty blonde with long legs. Even further, they are told that all of these can be theirs if they simply do one thing: work hard. F. Scott Fitzgerald reveals the corruption of pursuing the American dream in his novel, The Great Gatsby. Fitzgerald uses setting, character development, and diction to prove that the American dream does not exist. So if you didn't notice, between here, the hook, and the background, I'm kind of like, I don't understand the connection, because the hook doesn't even really talk about the American dream, and then all of a sudden I'm bringing in this F. Scott Fitzgerald dude and Gatsby, and I'm just confused. So a bridge will bridge us from the hook to the background, so we find that connection, and then it sounds much more concise and clearer, and I'm kind of like, oh, I get it. So here is my revision, and all it takes is a few, maybe even just one sentence or a few, to connect your hook to your background. So let's start all over from the top. Americans are inundated with images of white picket fences, four-car garages, infinity swimming pools, the latest Apple gadget, and the pretty blonde with long legs. Even further, they are told that all of these can be theirs if they simply do one thing: work hard. The American dream's reality is often critiqued in works of literature. F. Scott Fitzgerald reveals the corruption of pursuing the American dream in his novel, The Great Gatsby. Fitzgerald uses setting, character development, and diction to prove that the American dream does not exist. So while this isn't 100% perfect, it's a pretty solid start. I would even add perhaps in here that this is how Americans view the American dream, and then move on to say the American dream's reality is often critiqued. But I like it because now I kind of understand why I have this hook and how it connects to Fitzgerald and The Great Gatsby. So I hope this helped you out. I'm sorry for my rambling. Peace, love, and literature.